Welcome to Moments with Marianne. This is your host, Marianne Pastana. And we're here today with special guest, Francesca Hampton. And she's here to share with us her new children's book, Leo Learns to Meditate, a curious kid's guide to life's ups and downs and a lot of in-betweens. So Francesca has been a Buddhist practitioner since the 70s and has helped to establish Tibetan Buddhist centers in California. She later worked as an English language editor at the Library of Tibetan Works and Archives and spent a number of years in India and Tibet. She then settled into a career as an English as a second language and adult education teacher. So let's welcome to the show, Francesca Hampton.
Thank you very much. I'm delighted to be here.
What an amazing book this is. What inspired you to write it?
Like most people, it's a bit of a saga. In my 20s, I, like hundreds of other young Westerners, I was drawn to go to Asia. And we called ourselves travelers in those days and trying to separate ourselves from tourists. Many of us in those days in the 70s encountered Tibetans. They had been coming out of Tibet as refugees since 1959 and were continuing to reestablish themselves in their big universities that they'd had in Tibet in India. Now, in my travels, I managed to miss the whole shebang. I instead had my first teachings in Buddhism in Bangkok with a man named Fra Kantipalo, and was very impacted by my first lectures, was pondering those lectures all the way across as I missed all the other connections that other youngsters were having, whom I later met and became best friends with. I've connected with this stream of events that was going on and all these people when I got back to LA in 1975 and was told a Tibetan had come to speak in Los Angeles. And his name was Lama Thubten Yeshi. And I was very, very moved by what he had to say and started studying as they were to learn more about Buddhism and what they had to share with us. Many of those folks that I met in those days, we all were working on establishing Buddhist centers, and they went on to establish them all over the world. It was quite a coming together of two great movements of youngsters traveling in that way in those days, and the Tibetans needing to pass on what they could of their own culture because they were under such assault. It was a bit of a historical moment, I think, in Buddhist history. So decades have gone on. I've had many, many teachings with many of different lamas of those different traditions. I have many of the people I traveled with have gone on to become great scholars, great meditators, ordained, and I cannot claim any of that. I'm trying to be a writer in my older years. I returned to a love of writing. And in the last few years, I've written several adventure stories and novels for children and a book of Buddhist-themed short stories for adults. This is my first attempt to put Buddhist themes into a story for children. And my immediate motive in all of this has been watching the news, as we all have, and being increasingly dismayed by the incidences I can see of the stories of trauma being experienced by so many children all over the world. Children just seem exposed to so much more than they were when I was young. There are wars and famines and refugees and losing parents to drugs and despair, living in abusive homes. Now they have the menace of the pandemic hanging over them. Some have actually lost family members to it. And then, of course, the daily threat being shot in school. That was never there when I was a child. And I can hardly imagine what that would feel like for them. There's just life is more fearful for most children at every level of society now, not only those in poor neighborhoods. And I have also observed an increasing generalized anxiety in the young about the survival of the world with climate change and war. There was some of that when I was young, but not as much as now. Many young people seem drawn to apocalyptic landscapes in video games and movies. And I have wondered if this was their way of practicing and preparing for a breakdown in society that they feel is coming. And that too would place a steady strain on the emotions, consciously or unconsciously. Leo Learns to Meditate is just a children's book. It's not the answer to everything. And it's coming from a Dharma friend. It's coming from someone who's offering what worked in my life after receiving all these teachings, what among them has worked for me to make life easier, how to calm down, how to transform bitter experiences into sweeter ones, how to react with kindness as much as you can, but not weakness, and how to rely on inner resources when it's difficult to rely on outer ones or there's just not enough there for you. It's written, in effect, to myself as a child. I'm not an expert. I'm not a professor in a university or child therapist or even an official Buddhist teacher in any aspect. But I'm writing to myself as a child what I would most have liked to hear and would have benefited from learning earlier than I did.
Well, what a great inspiration that is. I think a lot of people can really resonate with that as we are getting a little older, and many of us are learning to meditate. There's so many health benefits with that. I love how in your book, Leo Learns to Meditate, you go through this very gentle practice that Leo's having with his mother and how he has to really focus and learn how to focus in order to do the meditation. But it starts at a very simple place.
Yes. There are quite a number of books that are addressing the good benefits of becoming more mindful. And I'm so happy to see that. The illustrator to this book, John Letta, he just turned out to be so outstanding, much more than any of us had hoped, to show in a kind of comic way how one can struggle to get your mind to focus on one thing. It's much harder than it seems if you've never done it. But Leo Learns to Meditate, I think, was chosen by the Bala editors because it starts to address other dimensions of meditation that many of the other books that are coming out right these days have not addressed yet. It has two critical dimensions not often covered. One is the focus on love and kindness, and the other is an introduction to metacognition, if we use a modern psychological phrase, which just means standing back to become aware of your own feelings without getting caught in them quite so strongly. These are the aspects of Buddhism that have been most personally helpful. When life gets hard, they really help you. They are part of a core that can be found in all Buddhist lineages and traditions, to my knowledge. One is developing shamatha. That's the ability to focus single-pointedly, to balance the mind between clarity and relaxation on a single point, which is, you can see in Leo, is quite funny. He tries to meditate on his teddy bear with very mixed results at first. And then developing loving kindness towards all beings, and more than just being nice, but to sit in meditation and consciously try to expand your own ability to feel love for others, to wish them well. I also incorporate, in a comical way, a little taste of the Gelugpa tradition of analytical meditation from coming from Tsongkhapa in Tibet, dissecting a situation with another person, where you go step by step to find the real enemy, in air quotes. It's not the person or his hand or his arm but leading the child step by step to understand a bad situation may have come from temporary negative emotions. And those in turn created by ignorance and then your own reaction to the whole situation. It's I try to make it funny, and John Letta just did a brilliant job showing Leo's reaction to this attempt to think philosophically when he's in the middle of a crisis.
Well, I think that's so important. Young people today are so overloaded with thoughts and information just coming at them. To get to this place of calm, I mean, what a gift that is.
Yeah, the mother shown in the book, it's the perfect meditation guide for a young child. And John Letta created her out of his own mind. I had a prose version of their interaction, but he went on to produce to me a really brilliant shift on the entire structure of the book by making it into children are used to that. They're used to comic books. And instead of reading a long prose description of what people are thinking or saying or doing, he just made it so clear. He uses different colors to show when Leo's thinking about things, when he's speaking about things, when his mom is speaking about things in reaction to him, and to show the nuances. It's really quite amazing to show the rendering of their relationship, just showing ways that the text presented, but the visually comes so much clearer for children. They can see it quickly.
What are some of the things that you would like, or a thing that you would like little readers to take away from your book?
I would like them to take away most of all the idea that they have inner resources, that they can respond to the challenges that come at them, and they can be very strong. They can, even if they can't handle it in the moment. I mean, I don't know that I could do well with a bully in my face, but to go back and think about it and calm their mind in ways that bring them back to a state of peace and joy. The effect, especially of loving kindness, it is one of the most powerful emotions you can generate to make not only a situation better in the long term, but one's own mind return to a state of calm, peacefulness. You're not so threatened by things.
So, Francesca, where can our listeners connect with you and be part of your community?
I do have author pages on Amazon, and I have a Facebook page.
Well, Francesca, thank you for taking the time to be on the show with us here today.
Well, thank you for being so kind to me in my very first interview ever.
Well, thank you, Francesca. It has been such an honor to spend this time with you and to talk about your new book, Leo Learns to Meditate. Leo Learns to Meditate is available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and all indie retailers. And remember to support our indie bookstores. We're going to pause here for a quick moment, and we'll be right back after this message. I'd like to thank Jason Eastwood at Guitarfulness for sharing his inspiring music and talent with us. His music is known worldwide for cultivating atmospheres of harmony, inner peace, and clarity. Visit Jason's website at guitarfulness.com. Join his newsletter, be part of his community, and download his music. Well, we're at the end of our time today. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. You've been listening to Moments with Marianne, where we make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Marianne is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary, a recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Marianne will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmarianne.com for more information.